up one of your or multiple of your bitches, you decide to sneak this me on the song. Like, you don't do that. Men don't do that. Because at the end of the day, I called you, like, asked you, did you feel the type way, and I was going to pull up on you. You ain't respond. So I'm like, all right, I guess you going to respond to me saying this on this song. Trenches, still out here every day. I ain't hard to find.
We're viral.
And here we are right now on the corner of F Street and Alabama Avenue. And these are the apartments right here where OG ManMan was shotting.
Sunday, June 12, 2016, was a warm June afternoon in southeast Washington, D.C. The streets of the 4400 block of F Street were bustling, but a sense of tension hung in the air. Earlier that day, Antonio Leach, aka OG ManMan, received a phone call from someone inviting him to a cookout behind the apartments on F Street in southeast D.C. The last words he told his father were that he would be back in a minute, a promise he would never be able to keep. As night fell, Antonio walked the streets, either unaware or undeterred by the rising storm caused by a recent diss video he had dropped. It was past midnight when the shooting happened. Gunfire erupted, shattering the uneasy calm of the neighborhood. Residents awoke to the sounds of chaos, and when the smoke cleared, OG ManMan lay lifeless, his life cut short in an act of retaliation that felt almost inevitable. The timing was too coincidental, and though the police would not confirm if his hit was a direct response to the video, the streets seemed to know this was the price of disrespect. Before the streets knew him as OG ManMan, he was Antonio Leach, a young man from the DMV area. Growing up in southeast Washington, D.C., Antonio witnessed firsthand the struggles of his community, the systematic challenges, the retaliations of the streets, and the sense of hopelessness that could consume people.
I'm not a real rapper, like I said in my song. Like, I'm not a real rapper. I just spoke on something, like I heard nigga sneak this me or whatever. Just like he sneaked this everybody else, I just was one of the niggas that stood up and said something.
Antonio's journey in the DMV scene was intertwined with another rising artist, Big Flock. The two had once shared a camaraderie that many thought would lead to collaboration rather than conflict. They moved in the same circles, performed at the same venues, and shared a mutual respect for each other's talent. Big Flock in the booth and OG ManMan on the streets. You could find OG ManMan posted up on the block with his crew, always ready to defend his name. He wasn't just living in the trenches, he was the trenches.
You see this? Can't too many people come in. Nobody can't come in. Them niggas know where I'm from. Everybody know where I'm from. It ain't no secret. Anybody go against that, they know what's gonna happen behind that shit.
No question.
These are not props, but it can't get real.
For Antonio, respect was paramount, and he had no tolerance for anyone who dared play with his name. He welcomed challenges with open arms, unafraid of the consequences that came with his fearless mentality.
And why did you go to that?
Why did I go
to that extent?
That extent? Because once you disrespect me, or disrespect my name, it's like, I don't give a f about you, your dead man, your mother, your father, your grandmother, none of that shit. I don't give a f about none of that. Like, I'ma go on you, your dead man, your mother, your grandfather, all that shit. I don't care. You hear me? Like, you don't disrespect me and think I ain't gonna say nothing to you. I ain't one of them wild niggas you think you gonna say something to and not say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing back. Like, I know the real him. That's why the song came about, the truth. It ain't a sneak diss, it's the truth. He knows the truth.
But in the hood, failing to keep your head on a swivel could be terminal. Testing the wrong person could easily lead to retaliations, and some believe that this was exactly what happened between OG ManMan and his former friend, Big Flock.
He dissed you and said what?
I mean, he talking about something. Man, I thought he was really throwing a good performance, trying to say I was hot. But he said the same thing about the nigga Fame Rico, whoever the nigga is, and he said he was hot, but he's back with this nigga.
Big Flock, a Maryland rapper, often credited his late friend, Lil Chris, known as C. Diddy, for being the person who pushed him the hardest to pursue music. They were so close that Big Flock recorded his debut mixtape, Trilluminati, in C. Diddy's living room. As Big Flock's music career began to gain traction, OG ManMan was right there beside him. Though their roles were different, ManMan was the enforcer, the one who made sure their reputation stayed intact. while Flock was the rising artist focused on making it big.
I mean, yeah, it was my man. If you go to all his other songs, when he stamped me in his songs on some free ManMan, oh, ManMan got this, ManMan do that, ManMan do that, but
the duo seemed unstoppable, but things took a turn for the worst. Two major events escalated their relationship from a close friendship to bitter rivalry. The first incident involved a woman, which many believe was the catalyst that set everything in motion. OG ManMan violated the unspoken bro code by getting involved with Big Flock's romantic partner, an act of betrayal that Big Flock couldn't forgive.
like, he mad, I fucked this. He mad, he want my life. Mad, he ain't me.
Through all of this, both OG ManMan and Big Flock were having their own run-ins with the law. The streets were unforgiving, and the lifestyle they lived often meant dealing with legal issues. It was during one of OG ManMan's stints in jail that he heard a track off Big Flock's project, Glockism. The song, titled Intro, contained a line that cut deep, and ManMan turned to informant, thought that he was real. He put on a good performance. This wasn't just any diss. Calling someone a snitch, especially a street figure like OG ManMan, was crossing a line that couldn't be undone. Behind bars, this kind of label could be a capital punishment. It wasn't just about public image. Such accusations could mean that even his own people, those who once had his back, might turn on him. When OG ManMan was released, the tension between him and Big Flock had reached its boiling point. OG ManMan wasn't about to let Big Flock's accusations slide. After getting out of jail, he hit back hard, dropping one of the most disrespectful diss tracks the DMV has ever heard. ManMan's diss was harsh, and he knew exactly where to hit Big Flock to make it hurt the most. He targeted Big Flock's late friend, C. Diddy, the same friend who had been by Flock's side through thick and thin. C. Diddy, whose real name was Christopher A. Smith, had tragically passed away on July 2013. According to police reports, the 19-year-old from Bowie, Maryland, was in a car traveling east on Interstate 64 when a fight broke out among the passengers. The car stopped on Stocko Valley Bridge, where C. Diddy got out and fell off the bridge, dying on the streets below. The loss of C. Diddy had hit Big Flock hard. The story behind his passing never quite added up, and many speculated that someone in the car had pushed him off the bridge, though the police never made any arrest. So when OG ManMan used C. Diddy's passing as ammunition in his diss track, it was a blow that cut to the core. For OG ManMan, dropping the diss was his way of showing he wasn't afraid, that he wouldn't back down from any challenge. But in doing so, he escalated an already dangerous situation to the point of no return. The diss track wasn't just a song, it was a declaration of war, and the streets knew that the fallout was inevitable. What made the diss truly demonic was the setting of the music video. OG ManMan filmed it at C. Diddy's gravesite, a move that shocked everyone who saw it. He made sure no one missed the message by placing a label in the scene, making it clear where he was. It featured ManMan in a mask, brandishing guns, and delivering line after line aimed at tearing down Big Flock. He poured out bottles of Ace of Spades as if he were at the club, but he did it over C. Diddy's grave, while a news report of C. Diddy's passing played in the background. He then took things further by lighting a photo of C. Diddy on fire and even inserted a clip of a body falling from a building. It was total disrespect, and even those familiar with the ongoing feud were taken aback by how far ManMan was willing to go.
This was my man. I wasn't no rapper. I was behind the scenes. Like, mind you, I was the hitter. Like, you hear me? Yeah, he was stamping my name on some hitter shit. Like, I was no rapper.
You said when he was beefing with Glizzy, he called you?
Yeah, when he was beefing with Glizzy, he called me. Like, at the time he called me and like, yeah, I pulled up like, huh, bro? Gave this man that and he ain't do nothing. He just bluffed out. Made a little song or whatever. I'm like, bro, you don't do that, bro. If you really want to see this man, do your thing. He ain't do none of that shit. You see Glizzy still out here? Glizzy still walking around? Niggas don't do that. There ain't no beef with these niggas. They just internet famous, internet gangsters. We don't do that. We really from the trenches, man. Y'all from the suburbs. That's different.
Big Flock eventually responded with his own diss track titled The Truth. but OG ManMan's track overshadowed the rebuttal. The disrespect and shock value were too great, and the streets couldn't look away from what OG ManMan had done. The video gained traction quickly, and the shock value propelled it to viral status. OG ManMan reveled in the attention, going from being the enforcer to seriously considering a future in rap. After seeing the numbers the track was doing, he let it be known in an interview with Cutthroat TV that he didn't care about anyone who disrespected him or anyone associated with him.
You talk about all these guns and shit. It been how long since the video been out? I ain't even hear no gunshots. Y'all hear any gunshots?
To ManMan, the clout was worth it, even if it came with risk. Unfortunately, OG ManMan would never get to pursue that rap dream because the thing everyone looking on assumed would happen happened: retaliation. Sadly, what everyone feared would happen eventually did. The cycle of retaliation in the streets is rarely broken, and OG ManMan's actions had escalated things to a point where peace was no longer an option. The retaliation came swiftly, and with it, the dreams Antonio Leach had of turning his notoriety into a lasting rap career were cut short. He had played with fire, and the streets responded in kind. In the wake of OG ManMan's hit, fingers were quick to point towards Big Flock. The feud between the two had reached a boiling point, and many assumed that Flock or someone close to him was involved. However, whispers on the street suggest another possibility: that it had been a backdoor hit orchestrated by those once close to ManMan. These rumors stemmed from the snitching accusations Big Flock had publicly made against him. Regardless of the truth, one thing was clear: the feud between OG ManMan and Big Flock was directly tied to the retaliation that had erupted. The investigation took a dramatic turn a few months after OG ManMan was hit. On October 19, 2016, police carried out a search warrant at Big Flock's residence. The raid uncovered a significant amount of contraband, firearms, ammunition, narcotics, and paraphernalia. Among these items seized were a loaded 5.7 28mm semi-automatic handgun equipped with a laser sight, a .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun, a .380 caliber semi-automatic handgun, multiple rounds of ammunition, a drum-style extended magazine, a .40 caliber extended magazine, and $5,561 in cash. Police also found 94 tablets of alprazolam. The sheer amount of firepower found in Big Flock's possession led authorities to believe that he was preparing for anything. The items found during the raid and Big Flock's history as a felon meant that the stakes were high. He faced a maximum of 10 years in prison for unlawful possession of a firearm and an additional 5 years for possession with intention to distribute alprazolam. In the end, Big Flock took a plea deal, which saw him sentenced to 45 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. After serving his time, Big Flock walked out of prison a free man in late 2019. After the tragic shooting of OG ManMan, the case would go cold as the streets took on a code of silence. Witnesses, gripped by fear, refused to come forward. The risk of retaliation was too high. No one wanted to be the one to break the silence and face the consequences. Despite the police offering a $25,000 reward for information that could lead to the capture of the shooter, the code of the streets prevailed. Fear kept lips sealed, and ManMan's assailant remained at large. Rest in peace, OG ManMan.